don't want recording.
Hi, welcome to the Unplanned Podcast. This is Jade.
And this is Isaiah.
Today we're going to talk about Isaiah's testimony.
What the?
Okay.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
January 31st, 1996. I was born into the Unland family. Oakley has this toy, so you may hear some squeaks. But I was born in Fort Collins, Colorado, to Richard and Tamara Unland. So I grew up in a Christian household. My parents were Christian. My dad had been a youth pastor. And so when I was like 1.5, I think, I don't remember when I was that old, but I think that was when I was. We moved to Omaha, Nebraska to, well, technically we moved to Boys Town. So Boys Town is a Catholic organization that takes in troubled youth, and so we would have like, I don't remember how many kids would be with us, like 4 or 5 maybe. So 4 or 5 like teen boys would live with us that were in trouble with the law, and it was a Catholic organization though. So I remember sometimes like attending, I don't know if it was like mass or what it was, but I just remember it being like super like I remember the traditions in it, like the standing up and sitting down and these prayers and like just all the all the not uniforms, but the outfits and all this stuff. But at the same time, I was going to a non-denominational Christian school, so there was just a lot of like, I was just kind of like, it was just weird. It was weird to like see 2 different sides of the church growing up. Then when I was in 2nd grade, we moved to Indiana. Don't ask me why they moved from Colorado to Nebraska to Indiana. They just went downhill. But once we got there, we like searched around for churches for a while and landed upon a small church that was meeting in my elementary school at the time. And then eventually moved into a Kiwanis building, if you know what the Kiwanis is. You do know what it is?
Yeah, isn't that a brand of like? It's like a vehicle.
No.
Oh, okay. What is it?
I don't really know what it is.
Oh.
It's like there's like, I don't know.
Oh, I was thinking Kawasaki or something like that.
What the? Okay, so we moved into this building, and it was a small church. I mean, like, there's like a couple kids my age, so like my youth group was like me and like 3 other kids on a good weekend. Most weekends I would try to like help out in the nursery or like in the preschool room, just because the teaching, it was just not impactful. I mean, I was hearing the gospel, yes, but it just wasn't super impactful up until my freshman year of high school. My cousin at the time, who would end up baptizing me, attended a large church that I played youth league basketball. Watch out. I'm good at basketball. Church league basketball. And he was like, I don't remember how the news came around, but it was like, oh, spring break trip, like a retreat. My youth group's having a spring break trip. Like, would you want to go? And I was like, at the time, I knew it was pretty expensive. And so I kind of just dropped it because I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to go on this trip. And I remember my mom just being like, do you want to go on the trip? And I was just like floored. I was like, are you serious? At the time I was just like, oh, I get to go to Florida, like, see the ocean. And so I was super excited, but they wanted me to attend the youth group for a little bit to like get to know people before I went on the trip. And so I started attending the youth group, and I remember the first night walking into this big church. The youth group at the time was like probably like 300 kids maybe. I don't remember exactly how big it was. But I remember I walked in a little bit late, and I like walked through the doors, and they were in the middle of worship, and you could just feel like the bass drum like in your like chest, and I like thought I was having like heart palpitations. I literally thought I was dying for a second. I was like, whoa, this is worship. Like I just wasn't used to that. And so I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, it's like a rock concert, but there's so many kids here, like my own age. And so I was super excited and got super plugged in with that youth group, and ended up going to the spring break trip. And I remember the worship even there just being super impactful, and hearing the gospel in ways that were more relatable to me as a teenager. That I hadn't really heard at my other church. And so I ended up getting baptized on that freshman trip. So my cousin baptized me in the ocean. He kind of dropped me the first time he dunked me, but it still counts. There was a lot of jellyfish on that trip. But that trip was just super impactful for me, and I went on to go to a couple more of those trips, and they were always just, I mean, it's obviously exciting to go to the beach, but they were just super impactful because the worship, and it was just so intentional. So but a big part of my story, I ended up moving into that church. My parents, our church ended up closing down due to like bankruptcy, I think, I'm not sure. So we ended up moving into that church and attending that church, and so I got super plugged in the youth group. But at the same time, I was going to a public school that was just not good. A lot of my friends were in like AP, those higher education, higher IQ classes. Yeah. And I was like, I had my history class was always AP because I loved history, and I still do love history, but like math, I was terrible at math. Like everyone was in like, trigonometry, and here I am in like pre-algebra, and so I like had no real friends in a lot of my classes, but my cousin was there. The cousin that baptized me, Daniel, was at that high school too, and so sophomore year came around, and I hung out with him a lot. We would eat lunch together. We got in a lot of trouble together from shenanigans. One quick story. We spent all of the, at the end of a semester, we took all our leftover lunch money and bought all the cookies we could, and we stacked them from the table to the ceiling.
That's disgusting.
And people were like, yo, give me a cookie. Like all this stuff.
How much was that?
I spent probably like $30.
Oh.
But
Okay.
but it was like a group of us. It was like 10 of us.
Oh.
And they came in packs of 2 for like $1. Oh. So if I spent $30, I got 60 cookies.
Okay, that's...
So we literally just had trays full of cookies.
That's
so we got in a lot of trouble. So Daniel's, he's a bad influence on me. But anyways, junior year rolls around, and Daniel graduated. He was a senior my sophomore year, so he had graduated, and I felt super alone. All the kids in that youth group at the bigger church, that was in a different county, in a different town, and so they went to a different school. So I was just super lonely, and I just was not happy. And so I I was like, Mom, Dad, can we go to this school where all my friends went from the youth group? But it's a pretty bougie town, and I'm pretty sure you have to pay property taxes for the school that you attend, along with the property taxes for where you live. And so because it's a bougie town, the property taxes were crazy high. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But one day my mom and dad were like, yeah, you want to check out this private school? And so I shadowed at this private school, I think is what you call it. I don't remember. But I shadowed at it, loved it, ended up doing an interview and getting into this private Christian school. And so my junior year, after the public schools, split into trimesters, not semesters. So after a month or two of being back at that public school my junior year, I moved I didn't move, but I transitioned into the private school, and I was just blown away because I had Bible class. My senior year, I had systematic theology. Right, Oakley? So I was just blown away. Like, we could eat lunch outside, and we had some classes outside, and like the public school is like a prison. Like, you pretty much had to like sign your life away to get out of school for like even like a doctor's appointment. And so I was just blown away by this school, and I had amazing teachers that like poured into me in Bible classes, and yeah, I was just blown away, and I will forever be thankful to my parents for that opportunity, because it really did like shape who I am. Senior year rolls around, I have no clue what I'm gonna do with my life. I'm like, I'm terrible at math, so I can't do anything with math. I'm terrible at art, so I can't do anything with that. Like, for a while, I wanted to be an architect, and then I realized that involved a lot of math, and so I was like, nope, not doing that. But my buddy from the youth group was like, hey, you want to go to Ozark Christian College with me and be my roommate? And I was like, sure. Like, I didn't know what I was going to even study. Like, I had no clue what I was even going to do. And come, like, the summer after senior year, spring, I think it was the summer. Him and I are driving out to Joplin, Missouri to like pre-enroll. It like happened so fast. So, yeah, I went to Ozark Christian College for 1 semester. 1 semester because I'm a social butterfly. Ask Jaden.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a bad way.
No.
But when it comes to school, it's in a bad way. Yeah, when it comes to school, it's in a bad way. It wasn't with girls or anything like that. It was mainly Ultimate Frisbee. I'm serious. I was playing Ultimate Frisbee all the time. And so I loved Ozark because the community there is like amazing, like ridiculously amazing. Like, man, the community there is just crazy. But I was a social butterfly, and so I like struggled in my classes. I had skipped a class a bunch actually, and I like had to like go to the professor and like make a case, in order to even like get credit for the class. Otherwise, I just wouldn't get credit. And he ended up like he was super nice, and so he was like, I'll give you like credit for the class. I still got like a D, but I at least had credit. But I ended up leaving. I know, like, I feel so bad about it all the time. Like, it's one of my big regrets because I know my parents, like, struggled in that time, and they were paying for my school, and I was just, like, letting them down all the time and failing classes, and so I will always feel bad about that. But I am thankful for the time I had there. So I moved back to Indiana and started working. I was, like, landscaping, and so living the sucky life. It's hot. So I was just doing these like blue collar jobs, just kind of going through the motions. And then I went to one summer, the summer after I left Ozark. One of my buddies had went to a youth camp growing up in Colorado, and so I ended up that summer working for the youth camp. And got my first taste of camp ministry, and so I like led backpacking trips, helped lead rock climbing stuff. We did whitewater rafting, challenge course stuff, like you name it. And I was just like, no, this is ministry. Like, I was super excited about it, but then after that I went back to the blue collar jobs, and but that like camp ministry kind of always was like in my heart. So blah, 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 I went through all that stuff, and then here's where it gets crazy. Yeah, crazy bad. So I met a girl. Okay, I'm just gonna say it for those of you that don't know. I mean, a lot of people that are probably listening to this know my story already, or you know at one point that I was married, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. So how that kind of went down is, I met her right before I went out to Colorado. I came back from Colorado and we continued to date. She wanted to please my parents and please me, and so she ended up getting baptized at the church that I attended. And then, after a year of marriage, we decided we wanted to change. And so I had kind of been trying to get into a police department in Indianapolis. I had applied a couple times and went through like their whole process. Like I had passed the physical and I had passed the written test, and like the interview was like the last thing, and I always got cut after the interview. But yeah, I was not good at interviews. Now I can kill it though. So. But a job opening, I don't even know how it like popped up, but a job opening, like I think it was like an advertisement. You know how like your iPhone will be like, your Facebook advertisements will be like, oh, you were talking about your dog this morning, here's a doggy toy.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, you're talking about being a cop. Santa Fe Police Department in New Mexico needs a cop. And so I applied, and I needed to do my physical, so we drove out to New Mexico for me to try and be a cop in New Mexico. We stayed with one of my buddy's parents, Jake Brenner, who I had worked at that youth camp with. His family lives in Santa Fe, and so he let us stay at his parents' house, or his parents let us stay at their house. I ended up on the last day being told that I wasn't going to be a cop, at least for them, or to try again. So I was pretty heartbroken. I remember like the sergeant telling me that, and me like breaking down in like the waiting room at the police department, because I was just like, I had driven 2,000 miles to do this job interview, and I was like so set on like, this is what I'm gonna do, and all of a sudden I'm not doing that. And so I got back to the Brenner's house, and they were like, oh, you should come check out Glorieta camps. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I heard Jake Brenner talk about it a tiny bit, but next thing I know, we're driving through Glorieta camps, and for those that don't know, it's a huge adventure camp in Glorieta, New Mexico, at the very bottom of the Rocky Mountains, like the very southern tip of the Rocky Mountains. And it's like, when you're driving through, there's like a lake with like zip lines and all this stuff. I was like, whoa, like I've done camp ministry, but like the camp I had worked at before was like 50 people was like a group, versus this was like conferences, like
thousands.
Yeah. And so I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. And so I applied for a job there and got it. And so like a month later, maybe, we moved out there. I moved out there with my now ex. So, we moved out there in September. And then come November, things were off in my relationship, and so I asked her what was going on. And I asked her what was going on, and she was like, I don't love you anymore. And so, obviously, I tried my gosh darndest. I've never said that. That was weird. to fight for that relationship. I was like, okay, we need to go to counseling. The camp was offering to pay for counseling for us. And she was like, no. She's like, that's not going to help me. She hadn't even wanted to do like premarital counseling. Like, she was so against counseling. And so I fought for it. Come Thanksgiving, she was like, hey, I'm going to go spend Thanksgiving at my aunt's house in Florida. And I was like, at the time I was thinking okay, maybe this will be good for us to get a little bit of space, and then we come back and, figure things out. And so she went to Florida, and she left her Facebook on my computer open, and at the time I was streaming. Excuse me. We had a barbecue earlier. Sorry. At the time I was streaming, and I'm in the middle of a stream, and I hear the Facebook Messenger sound going off. And I was just like, what the heck is happening? And I didn't know that tab was open, and so I flip over to it to find out that she's not with her aunt. She's with a girl. And not in a good way with a girl. So she had cheated on me while she was out there. She came back after, she kept extending the trip. She was like, oh, I'll come back this day. And then that day would come around, and she'd be like, oh, my flight got canceled, I'll come back this day. oh, something blah 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 happened, I'll come back this day. And so it just kept happening, and like weeks came, and she finally came back, but it pretty much was just her grabbing her stuff and leaving. So she took my dog and left the cat.
He's probably still at camp.
No, Luke took him.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, she literally like packed up her stuff and left. And so I didn't know what to do. Because Glorietta, oh, I can't say that. Cut that out.
No, you've already said it a lot. So it's,
Have I?
yeah.
Oh, I guess I'm not really dissing it on this episode. We can cut it out, babe. It's fine. Okay. I'll do it right now, even.
I didn't know what to do after that.
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. How do I? How do I cut?
Well, can you flag that section and I can go back and change it?
I don't know.
Maybe write down that section.
Oh, it just started all over. Am I doing okay?
Yeah, you're doing good, man. I just feel like I need to talk or like.
What the heck is happening?
You can worry about it later.
It still keeps going to the very beginning. Uh-oh, I just did something.
Did you start it over?
No. I'm not really sure what I just did. Hi, baby. Come here. Good boy.
You can just go. It deleted the whole thing. Did it seriously? No, it didn't.
Why? That's so frustrating. I can't even tap and like start from a specific spot right now. There we go. Oh my goodness. Is that your laptop? Holy
Yeah.
cow. Oh, that might be what it was. Okay. Okay.
Did you fix it?
So, hello? Check. Hello? Okay. So, I ended up staying at camp till about March. And then decided that it was best for me to go back to Indiana to be with my family. I ended up doing some counseling. And so I went back to Indiana, back to my blue-collar, hardworking job, which there's nothing wrong with. But I just wasn't in ministry, and so that was hard for me. But, yeah. And then, what, November?
That you went out? So it was like August, September?
So I missed ministry a lot. So obviously we got divorced. And so, but like back in Indiana, I missed camp ministry a lot. And so come like, I worked hard in the summer. I was doing asphalt, which is terrible. Don't ever do that if you have the opportunity. Don't. But what's wrong?
Nothing's wrong. I'm just listening.
But I talked to this cute girl on Instagram.
Who is she?
So Jade at the time, she still is an amazing photographer, and so I saw her photography stuff, and I was like, ooh, she's good. Because I'm also a photographer, if you don't know. Well, I'm not really. Not anymore. And so I like started chatting with her, and she's like, oh, there's a position open as a retreat guide, which is just like running activities, doing like kitchen stuff, helping out with the groups. And so I applied, and I got it before her because she was applying also, and she'll tell you that in her story. So I applied. I moved back to New Mexico. So in case you lost track, I was in Indiana. Then I moved to New Mexico, then moved back to Indiana, and now I'm back in New Mexico. Okay? So, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
In Albuquerque now. So, moved back to New Mexico, became a retreat guide, and then you know our story, you heard our story. If you didn't, go back a few episodes or forward a few episodes. I don't know where they're going to be aligned, and listen to our story. So I met her, fell in love, married her. Now we live in Albuquerque, and we're in ministry.
Yeah.
Baptist now. I'm a Baptist now. Which is literally, okay, because a lot of people are like, oh, you're a Baptist. Okay, let me explain this. Their theology is the exact same as non-denominational. Like, it is literally like the exact same as the church I grew up in. Like there's literally no difference. The only thing that is different than a non-denominational church that I've come to realize is that the Baptist community is a community. Like a non-denominational church, like that church is its own entity. And the Baptist churches are their own entity, but they have a community backing them. So they have the convention, the Baptist convention, which I now work at. And so they have like this community, and they all put in money to send missionaries to do like all these crazy projects. So that's literally the only difference.
Yeah, but also there's like casseroles, like potlucks,
Okay, yeah,
and all that like
yeah,
stuff.
there's like the traditional
attached
stuff, like
to it.
you're not allowed to dance.
Yeah.
So it's pretty traditional, and you know, I'm trying to break that norm.
Oh,
You know, that's why I
okay.
got hired. I'm gonna go in wearing tank tops and stuff.
Oh,
So,
heck no.
so I'm back there. I work currently as the content manager. But what that basically means right now is we run a state newspaper about like what's going on in the Baptist world. So in the whole Baptist convention, or what's going on in the state, or with all the missionaries. So right now I'm writing articles, and I'm organizing volunteers that will come in to write articles. Hopefully I'll be able to move into a position of more like videography, photography, that kind of stuff in the future. But for now, I'm a reporter. So Associated Press, hit me up.
Stop.
So that is my story. Any questions, babe?
No, but I just like want to say that I'm proud of you, and I know it's hard to share your testimony and relive all of that stuff, but I'm proud of you, and I'm just grateful of the man that God has created you to be, even through all of these trials.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah.
I want to thank my parents.
Yeah.
And you. But my parents have sacrificed a lot. And there's a lot that I didn't know about until recently. I'm not going to go into like super detailed stuff, but like paying for me at Ozark, and then me like having to drop out and all this stuff I feel terrible about, but I'm like beyond thankful for. And they've just been a huge help and support, especially like when the divorce was happening. And so yeah, I can't thank them enough. So
Yeah.
thanks, Mom and Dad.
Also, he didn't even mention any of his 4 younger brothers. He has 4 younger brothers.
Okay, that's not my testimony.
But that's your family.
Okay,
And
I
they
have
were
a
there.
mom and a dad. I had a Cocker Spaniel growing up named Hannah Banana. Her middle name was Banana. So her name was Hannah Banana Unland. There's like naked pictures of me as a baby running around the yard with her like running around next to me. What else? I had a brother named Caleb who's gonna get married this fall. And yeah, and then Joshua, who's a dweeb.
No.
And Joshua, who's gonna make our jingle for this podcast.
Yeah.
And Elijah. And Jonah. Guess who my favorite is?
I guess you mean
Yeah.
Jonah.
No, they're all. I have no favorites. What
Oh
the?
my word, dude. What the heck?
Jonah,
Sassy,
Eli,
sassy.
you heard that here. Oh yeah, and then we had a Siberian Husky, and then we got like this German Shepherd mix. I don't know what she is. She's fat.
No,
She's a submarine.
Yeah, she's really cute. She's cute though. She has really fluffy toes and feet.
And we had a huge fish tank growing up. Like I don't know how many gallons it was. It was like my dad's like pride and joy. Because what he would do, okay, we had these fish called cichlids. And they're like big fish. Like it was a huge fish tank. And so like I think they got to be like 8 inches almost. Like they were big fish.
Then that's a huge tank.
Yeah, it was huge.
I don't remember how big you said it was.
I don't remember how many gallons it was. But it was like really long. Okay?
Was it like one of those tanks that's in like a sketchy bachelor's house? Like in the 80s or was it the 70s? Like, you know, in those movies? It's like, come into my house, and there's like a big old fish tank.
What the? I don't know. Ask my dad about it.
Your
But
dad would be like, yes.
he would have people over for dinner, I think literally to show them his fish tank. Because what he would do is he would go to PetSmart and he would buy little goldfish. Like real live goldfish. And he would dump them into the tank. And they would eat them like head first, and so their tail would be sticking out of their mouth like wiggling.
That's so sad.
And he would just like sit there and like
be like, yeah.
it was like the Hunger Games in our house. It was literally like the Hunger Games. And my dad's just sitting there like, yeah, this is my house. Yeah.
So
I think he was doing it to like put us in our place.
Oh,
He's
be like, if
yeah.
you act
Yeah, if you
you're
get out
gonna
of
be this
line,
goldfish.
yeah, if you get out of line, I'm the cichlid and you're the goldfish. So
I can see your dad doing
yeah,
that.
exactly.
That's funny.
So that's my story. I played sports.
Mhm.
I played basketball in the winter every year at the church league. I played baseball. I was a big baseball player, like not fat wise, but I played baseball and then I would play all stars and then I played school ball. I played soccer. I ran cross country a couple of years.
When was
I
that?
regretted that. Junior year of high school. Middle school I ran cross country a bunch.
Your family or your parents were just like, please just get us some energy. I'm gonna enroll you in.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm glad to be in the mountains again, but now I'm in the desert.
But at least you get to look at mountains, and
But
it's not just flat.
right now I'm growing grass in the backyard, and it's actually growing, so that's really exciting.
That is a win right now in the season.
Yeah. So now I have my wife Jade, Yad,
Don't say
and
that.
I have a puppy,
Yeah.
little Oakley, who's passed out right now. He's pretty wild. He's peed on Jade a couple times.
Yeah, in the car, right when I need him not to.
What else is some interesting stuff about me people should know? I have 2 screws in my knee.
Oh yeah, you've had some crazy surgery.
No, I've only had 1. Well, I think I've had 2. I have 2 screws in my knee because I dislocated my kneecap like 5 times. The first time was playing Ninja. You know that game with your hands?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was how I dislocated it the first time.
That's pretty intense.
And once you like dislocate it, like the chances of it happening again are like higher. So I dislocated it doing that. I dislocated it rollerblading.
Oof.
I dislocated it playing basketball, like in the basement on the little kids' hoop. I dislocated it wrestling at Ozark. So yeah, I have 2 screws in my knee. I ski. I play guitar.
Well, yeah, so when Isaiah said that he loves history and he still loves history, when we go to a new place, like if we're driving through New Mexico, if we're driving like literally anywhere new, he's on his phone, like glued to it.
She
And
got
and,
mad at
and
me for a
sometimes
while.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
Oh, he's texting a girl. Almost
Well-
a boy.
well, no, it's just that joke of like, oh, like what he's doing, like if I'm not paying attention, whatever kind of thing. But he's literally just Googling,
I'm on
doing
Wikipedia.
research about like these new places. So he's just like obsessed with history and learning new
I
things.
just like to know the stories behind stuff, especially like places.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. My best friend moved to Colorado, so we've gotten to camp a few times. We have a Subaru named Tina,
Yeah.
named after the llama from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. So it's Tina, and then in parentheses, Fat Lauren.
Yeah. And we Jade helped me build a little camper platform in the back. So that's Tina. Hopefully we'll get like a Jeep Cherokee soon or something. Maybe like a Tesla or something.
Oh my gosh.
So yep, that's my life. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for sharing.
We'll see you on the next Unplanned podcast. Bye. There you go, babe. How's that?
It was good. How do you feel about it?
I'm super sweaty. Especially right here my ears.
Yeah. It's like 40, 45 minutes, something.
My thing?
Yeah, was it?
33.
Oh, okay, good. It seemed like it was longer for some reason. Oh, maybe it's because we just had worshipped and it's just long. Do you want me to share mine? And then, it takes, no effort for me.
Sure. Can I get some water first?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that little baby right there. He's just so cute.
Oh, can you turn it off?